2021 was a great year for Makita tool releases, and 2022 looks to be even better.
Hello everyone, this is your Daily Dose of
Makita.
In this video we're going to look at new, soon to be released and future Makita releases on the 18 volt and 40 volt platforms. When it comes to model numbers, I'm going to give the most common model number first, which is the one used in Europe, New Zealand, Australia, most of the world, Russia. I'll also give the Japanese number, and if I know it, if I can work it out, I'll put the American number as well. If you want more information, if you want to buy any of the tools I talk about, some of them, the ones that have been released anyway, there might be some links down in the description. Although most of the tools in this video are not yet available or are only available in Japan. Such as this first one. This tool, the DBO380, has just been released here in New Zealand. This one I got from Japan, so it's the BO380D. In the States, it'll be the XOB03, I do believe. You can also get the DBO381, which has the AWS chip on the end of the handle here. This tool will be released in most of the world in 2022. I think it's slated to be released in the States in April. This is a 1/3 sheet 3-speed sander with the highest oscillations or whoops at 12,000. As well as this sander, Makita have also just announced the DBO480, which is a 1/4 sheet sander. It has a pad size of just over 100 millimeters square, or about 4 inches square. In the States, it'll be the XOB04. Now this is the DBO180. This is the 380, the 1/4 sheet's the 480. What happened to the 280? There's another sander somewhere that they've obviously got in development that they haven't released yet. That's something they do quite often, and there'll be more about that later in the video. Next up is another 18 volt Makita tool, and it's a heat gun. How cool is that? So we have an 18 volt heat gun that can do 550 degrees Celsius. That's just over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It's quite a compact looking unit, and hopefully comes with a few attachments for scraping off paint and bending pipe and that sort of thing. It's looking at being available in New Zealand from January 2022 and the middle of 2022 for North America. It looks to have at least 2 different heat settings and a rather strange trigger, but that's all we know about that at this stage. Next up, let's talk lighting. There is a light that has been released in both the 14.4 volt / 18 volt and the 40 volt system. They're 2 separate lights, but they look pretty much the same. They have a flexible top, they run on LED lights, but you'll get a bit more brightness from the 40 volt, and you'll also get a longer run time. With this battery on it, the 5 amp hour 40 volt, 102 hours in the lowest setting. With a 6 amp hour battery on the 18 volt, you'll get 75 hours. There's 3 different settings, and on the highest, you'll still get 26 hours out of this thing. Sticking with lighting, next up, a couple of 18 volt lights that are tripod lights. There are 2 different models, the DML813 and the DML814. As you can see, the one on the left has 3 separate lights and the one on the right has just the one. The 3 separate lights do tilt in different directions, so you can fire light in different places, or you can get the one single light to blast a big amount of light in one area. They are 3000 lumen lights. In the highest mode, a 5 amp hour battery will give you 3 hours. In the low setting, you'll get about 10 hours. When they're folded up, they're about 1 meter long, but when they're fully extended, they're about 2.24 meters. Also out in Japan and soon to be released in the rest of the world is the 36 volt Kettle. That's right, you can now boil up your jug using Makita batteries. It's a pretty small vessel, holds 800 milliliters of water, but if you want a cup of tea rather than a cup of coffee, this is what you want rather than the coffee maker, of course. Plus you can also use it to do your 2-minute noodles. Next up, something I'm dying to get my hands on, it is the Makita 40 volt AS001G blower thingy. This is a handheld blower with the shape of a drill, essentially. And the speed of air coming out of this thing can hit 200 meters a second. That's real quick. Now it doesn't put out a lot of volume of air, but it puts it out at speeds at least double every other Makita blower. That's right, your workshop blowers, the big 40 volt one you saw me review recently, it can put out air quicker than those, but not a huge volume of air. Comes with a range of attachments for blowing things up, blowing things out, and just giving everything a good blow. But not only does it blow, it can also suck. That's right, you can suck air out of things to vacuum seal stuff, deflate something quickly. It blows, it sucks, and it also comes with a HEPA filter on the back, which can be removed if you don't want it in place because it's filling up with shit too quick. So I'm looking forward to that one so I can hopefully get rid of my damn noisy air compressor that I basically only use for blowing tools clean these days. Next up, chainsaws. First, the MUC002G, which is basically a 40 volt version of this one-handed or top-handed arborist style chainsaw. But once again, where's the 001, and why is there 3 letters at the beginning of this 40 volt tool instead of 2 like every other 40 volt tool? I'm guessing the 001 is a redesign of this Makita chainsaw, which was a very good Makita chainsaw, the 36 volt or 18 by 2. I'm guessing they're going to change this bit, drop a 40 volt battery in here somewhere, maybe on the back, who knows, it'll be there somewhere. Or maybe they'll leave it basically the same as this and put a 40 volt on each side and turn this into an 80 volt. There's a lot of numbers of chainsaws missing because they've released the 002, but they've also released the 008 and the 009, which are all basically the same tool just with different bars and colors and stuff. But there's a lot of numbers missing there. Where's the 1, the 3, the 4, the 5, and the 6, and the 7? There's a lot of chainsaws coming soon. Next up, something a lot of you have been asking about and wondering why Makita didn't release right at the beginning of the 40 volt rollout. It's dust extractor vacs. They are releasing 4, the VC001G through to 4G. The 001G and the 003G are both wet and dry vacs. One has an 8 litre capacity and the 003 has a 15 litre capacity. The VC002G is not a wet vac, it's just a dry vac, and it has an 8 litre capacity, and the 15 litre one is the VC004G. They come with AWS and take 2 40 volt batteries, but they'll just run on the one battery, and then when that battery is depleted, you can flick over to the other one. A lot of guys have really been asking for a 40 volt vac. Well, there they are. AWS 40 volt, pick your size, pick whether you want it to be a wet and dry vac. The wet and dry vacs look to use almost 50% more power, but they also move nearly double the amount of air. As well as those 4 vacs, there is a new RoboVac. It runs on 140 volt battery, but you can stick 2 inside it. It can map the area it is vacuuming so that it knows what it's doing and doesn't waste any time bouncing around off things. It does up to 600 square meters on a charge. You can set a docking area, so when it's finished it will go back to the same place every time, or when it runs out of batteries it'll go to that area so that you know you need to put new batteries in it. It has a 3 litre capacity dustbin, and you can control a lot of it from the phone. Bit hard to tell as of yet what you're going to be able to do on the phone because so far the app's only in Japanese, but it looks like a very cool RoboVac. But if it's anything like the last one, it is very expensive. I would love to get one of these to have a play with, but I never actually have enough clear ground to actually use the damn thing. It would hardly be able to move in this workshop. And to all those who thought it would never happen, the DTD172 has been announced in most of the world now. Most of you will have this by the middle of 2022, by which time I'm guessing Makita will probably have the DTD173 out. But hey, what are you going to do? You can either wait or you can buy them from Japan. Buy them from Japan, you can get them in all sorts of pretty colours, whereas most of the rest of the world will just get teal or maybe teal and occasionally black. But if you want a yellow one, a copper coloured one, a purple one, a green one, a red one, check out the links below. Now there's more Makita tools that I haven't gone over, but maybe we'll save that for another video because there's just so many. And if you thought this was a huge monstrosity of a battery, well, they are now releasing an 8 amp hour 40 volt max battery. From what I can gather, it uses 20 21700 cells, so it is the equivalent of 2 of those stuck together like that. So you're looking at a battery that's going to weigh close to 2 kgs. But when you put 2 of those 8 amp hour batteries together on a tool such as this, I know Sarah's just handed that straight to you, Rob. She's taken the photo and then you've thrown it back to her, right? You can't have held that there for very long. So that 8 amp hour battery is the equivalent of a 16 amp hour 18 volt battery. So it's larger than the new DeWalt 15 amp hour and much higher capacity than one of these. And when you put 2 of those 40 volt 8 amp hour batteries together, 72 volt, we'll call them 72 volt for a moment, they are higher in amp hour than the largest Milwaukee MX fuel battery. Think about that for a minute. 2 of them should be able to run everything on the Milwaukee MX fuel line now, and for longer. That is the CE001G 14-inch concrete saw. It has a 125mm or 5-inch depth of cut. In the States, it'll be the GEC01, and it is an 80V max tool. Look at the grin on his face. Even the top of his hair is shining. He's so happy. Look at him. Like a kid in a candy store. Now that's not all the new Makita tools around, but it's all that I'm going to put in this video, but I've got a few futuristic ones I'm about to reveal. There are some mid-torque impact wrenches out now, I think, on the 40V system that do like 750 Newton meters. Anyway, what's coming up in the future? What I've just told you are things that are released or are about to be released. What about things we might get on the 40V platform soon? Well, how about a rebar robot? That's right, a robot that can crawl across your rebar and tie it with the new Makita rebar tool. They've redesigned their rebar tying tool, probably a good thing, and it may come with an optional robot attachment. How cool would that be? Not something I'd ever use, but hey, looks pretty cool. And I hinted at this years ago, and it looks like it might actually happen, and that is a Makita battery microwave. How awesome would that be? If they do it, it looks to be a 40V times 2 and 80V tool, which would run at just under 600 watts. So it wouldn't be very powerful, but you'd get about half an hour use out of it. It looks to be quite small, just enough to heat up your lunch, which is what you want, right? Heat up the old Thai leftovers from last night. Might also be great for camping. If that comes out, I assure you, you will see it here first. I will get my hands on one of those quick smart, although I imagine it won't be very cheap. And last up, there's something about a nail gun, but I'm not even going to talk about nail guns because I've been let down by Makita so many times and I don't want to get your hopes up, so forget the nail gun. So which out of those tools are you most excited by, and which one do you want to see me review first? Let me know down in the comments. What's that doing in shot? Better get that out of shot in a Makita video. Still no sign of these coming to the rest of the world as of yet. If you haven't seen the video for that, have a look up in the corner. The front comes off this. Very, very cool. So cheers guys, have a happy Thanksgiving. That's the day I'm releasing this thing. You may not be watching it on Thanksgiving, and you may not live somewhere where you celebrate Thanksgiving, like, let's say, New Zealand. If you're watching it after Thanksgiving, well, Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday. Happy birthday? Well, it might be your birthday, who knows. Happy New Year was what I was meant to say. Got a few more videos to get out before the end of the year, but until then, I'll see you later. Cheers.